Hello, Nordic Game Conference! I will be honest, after last night, that was not what I expected. I thought it was going to be a lot more... My name is Elie Abraham. I'm here to host the wrap-up, and I'm really excited about it. If you don't know who I am, fine. I'm an independent game dev, and I do a lot of things, and one of them is stuff like this. Before we get started, we have some important announcements to make. But I ain't gonna make them. So, if we could spend a moment, Jacob Breeze, Teddy, Florea, please come to the stage. Join us, join us, join us. Okay. You gotta, there we go. Yeah, you think I would be trying it like this, right?
That was clever.
Hello, I know, right? I think it's working, it's not working, I think it's working, it's not working. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
It was magic.
Yeah, I know. Were you here just before? Yeah. So
then you know.
Now we just want to celebrate not only the winner of the Nordic Game Discovery Contest main prize, but also the People's Choice Award, because while the secret judges were out there and the real judges were there and judging them, we also had you to vote for your favorite game among the 17 finalists. And that winner was, by far, Skapma Polar Nights by Red State. Can you come up here? Yay. And they won, I think it was like the third or fourth qualification round in Kajaani, Finland. Hey guys, congratulations. Give me a hug. Yeah, congratulations.
Hey.
So now you can brag with that honor. The people here loved your game the most. How do you feel about that?
You made the right choice.
Yes! Saami mainittu.
Ollut kiihtu, Wakaite. So much. Thank you for everybody for voting us, and you are the best. I'm so happy.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Congratulations. And then obviously we have this fantastic diploma that we have as a teamwork been building for now the past 13 years. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? Because it's discover, discover, and then you discover it.
Jacob Breeze, everybody.
Discover. So I just wanna give a big hand to Danny from QFF's design and the game Drawcanoid that just won Nordic Game Discovery Contest Season 3. Please come up here and get a big hug. And now it's really important that we do like yeah. Hey, Martin, can you put on the yes? Then you hold this, and then we look this.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats.
Congrats, man. Thank you. And now I will leave the phone to Teddy. That was the mic.
Hi, how are you, Jacob? I really admire Jacob. He has so much energy. He's been like, 24 hours on the show floor and also at the parties, of course. And then he's still here and he has this. I don't know how you do it. You should teach me because I have no energy.
Right.
Can barely stand. But thanks so much for being here, for supporting the conference. Of course, one of the important dimensions of the Discovery Contest is to receive sponsorship so we can actually travel and meet those games and have those games being discovered and come to Nordic Game and being presented here. So a big thanks to all our sponsors, starting with Dolby. And I would like to invite one of the representatives from Dolby to provide the prize for the winner, which should come back here. So Dolby, let's have some applauses for them. Thanks so much for your support.
Just want to say congratulations, and here's a prize pack from Dolby for you and the Chief Executive Officer. Who's the short one?
Chief Executive Toddler.
Chief Executive Toddler.
She'll grow into it.
Yeah, she'll definitely grow into it. She'll have some nice headphones when her head swells out enough to fit, but enjoy. Great game. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And now I'd like to invite Matchmade on stage. Thanks so much. Mika, please come on board.
Mika!
Yeah, from my part as well, and Matchmade, we'd just like to congratulate you for winning the competition. I was fortunate enough to have time to play pretty much all of the games there, and well deserved. We wanted to give you something that will help you maybe develop your newer games or port your game to another platform or a test device or just take pretty pictures. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mika. And now, if someone from Xsola is here, you're more than welcome to come on stage. I think Dimitri wanted to do something. If you're not, thank you so much in any case for your support. You've been the platinum sponsor for the whole year. Thanks, Xsola. Yeah. And finally, but not least, I'd like to see Viva here from Plan of Attack, a leading PR agency that supports the Discovery Contest with press releases. Thank you.
Yeah, Viva!
Hi, Danny. So on behalf of Plan of Attack, I would like to congratulate you on winning Nordic Discovery Game Contest. And as a prize, we're giving you away a free launch campaign. Yeah.
What?
We're looking forward to working with you. Draconite is amazing.
Hey, more drinking. So that's me. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you, Jacob, for hosting so many events across the year.
You're welcome. Let's do it again. Let's start in Brazil. Okay, photographer, just a shot of you with all. Yeah, can you like? Yeah, that's good.
Right. This sounds about right. Oh, you need to shimmy this way as well. Here, I'll hold your launch campaign.
That is how big they are these days.
Yeah, this is the size they are. Yeah. Congratulations. Get out of here. Get. So, where was I? Before we continue, I'd like to invite my co-hosts to the stage. Elina Lappalainen, staff writer at Talouselämä, and Haydn Taylor, staff writer at GamesIndustry.biz.
Hello.
Hey.
Good.
Haydn, is your mic working, by the way?
I think it's not. Oh, now it is.
There we go. We're good. Everybody just chill. Lean back. How you feeling?
Good.
After last night, I think a lot of us are. We would say it the same way. It's like good.
Basically fine. I just had a bath and an early night. I'm doing fine.
Yeah. Oh, Haydn, envy. They put you up somewhere that has a bath?
Oh yes.
Jacob.
A leaky bath. A very, very leaky bath.
Fair enough. I got a shower that's missing the button that lets it go to hotter. Yeah. So, I think we're supposed to be talking about the program and such, and one of these things is that a lot of us come here and there's all these meetings and appointments and...
Yes, a lot of you haven't seen any of the actual talks, actually, I think because you have been busy meeting and matching, meeting investors and publishers if you are an entrepreneur. So you have had very busy conference, I suppose. I have only seen few very well selected talks because I've been meeting you guys, and I think that's one of the best parts of this Nordic conference is meeting all you lovely people and meeting new acquaintances like you and so I think we need to wrap up some of the program to tell you about what you missed.
We will. We'll do that exactly. The thing is that, though you miss a lot of the program for those things, those are really, just like you said, it's really one of the best parts of coming to these things, is really just connecting to each other. And I know it might sound boring to tell people you have a lot of meetings, oh, I'm networking. But I feel like especially in game development, when I'm like networking, I'm like, you saw these clowns, you know? There's so many great people in the audience right now. There's so many awesome people here to connect with. And Nordic Game Conference is one of those incredible opportunities for us to meet each other here in Meet Space and realize we're not just an icon on Twitter. We actually exist.
I'm a business journalist, and of course I cover lots of different industries, but the games industry is by far my favorite because of the people and this wonderful community and the warmth of the people. So I love coming this kind of conferences because of the people.
Big time. Haydn and I, funnily enough, we met because we were on a panel together. That's how we met originally.
Yeah, Sweden Game Arena in like, what, October, I think?
Yeah, that was last year. And so I was like, oh, Haydn and I are so tight. And then we found out we were both landing in Copenhagen around the same time. So I was like, wait for me, we can go on the train together. And he was like, I got meetings. Nope.
I always have meetings.
It's true, but that's really what we're saying. Like, you have so many meetings and you don't necessarily get to catch all the talks. So we're going to go through some of the highlights, some of the good stuff that maybe you did see or you didn't see. Now you're going to hear a little bit about it. Don't mind if I pull out my cheat sheet.
Yeah, well, in general, I've been very impressed about the general theme of the whole conference. Has been it's the impact of games industry in general. It's like there's been a moral awakening of
exactly how I call it.
Awakening of games industry in social responsibility. We have been hearing talks about women in games, accessibility, unions, how games can save the planet. That was surprising.
But it's incredible. And hey, thank you, Nordic Game Conference, for your commitment to talks like this. Thank you. I know that a lot of us, we wake up and it's a little terrifying. Sometimes it seems like the world is on fire. And it's really incredible that we can come to these great events, these big events that have so much amazing stuff happening during them, and know that this is some of the stuff we have chosen to focus on because it's extremely important.
Well, since I've been meeting all the entrepreneurs here, so one of the entrepreneurs actually said to me that there's one talk you need to hear, and this Ste Kuran is Things We Lost in Fire. I was like, why? Because everyone is gonna be there, and that's how it was. Like the theater was full packed, listening quietly of that beautifully narrated story of Mrs. Graham, who was first female to aeronaut to
be in the hot air balloon, right?
Yes,
right.
Yes, and I was like, what does it have to do with the games industry anyway? It's a beautiful story, but why? And then he had this moral lesson that do all games need to be about killing and shooting people, or collecting money and becoming rich, or should you have some other impact? What's your legacy to the world? And
I think, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, especially because something that game developers really need to talk about even more, and I'm so glad that there is some discussion about it, is the fact that games have an unintended narrative. So if you have a shooting game, maybe the point of your game wasn't like, murder's cool! But if you're playing game after game where one of the main mechanics is killing, then as an industry, the unintended narrative is, murder is cool! But so I really do love it that when we talk about these other kinds of fringe ideas, we realize that there's so many other things we want to see in games. And the people who spoke about those, maybe we could start to kick this off. Haydn, do you want to lead us with perhaps I'll let you say.
Well, there was the talk on loot boxes, which I actually didn't get to see because I was flying, but I did chat to David, the guy who gave the talk afterwards. And
Could you say his full name?
Oh, sorry, David Verbruggen. I'm sorry.
That was the loot boxes, political and public perception?
Yeah. So he's from the Flemish Gaming Association, and obviously Belgium has been in the news a lot recently because its approach to loot boxes has been pretty hard line. In fact, probably the hardest line there is sort of in the Western Europe. And he was basically saying that he feels like games are being like unfairly targeted and framed effectively by the debate. And the debate around loot boxes, it's become this legal issue with gambling. And whereas they really should be taking more of like a Swedish approach, which is more of like looking at it in the context of consumer protection rather than potentially handing out fines of hundreds of thousands of euros, criminal prosecution, prison sentences, that sort of thing. So, yeah, his general argument was that the Belgian Gaming Association or Commission has just gone way too far in the wrong direction, and
they're too powerful.
Yeah, basically, and he's advocating for a much softer approach, whilst also admitting that like there are problems with the ways in which certain games monetize. Star Wars Battlefront 2, especially, he made the point that like EA went too far with that, and you see it with a lot of other games, especially in the mobile space, where there's some very aggressive and very questionable behavior from game developers around how we monetize with loot boxes in particular.
Thank you for that. You didn't see that one, did you, Elena?
No, I came here on Thursday, so I missed all the Wednesday.
There were a number of really good ones on Wednesday. One that I missed that sounded incredible. The Payback Principles, 90s hip-hop answering today's marketing questions.
Yeah, I like the sound of that one. I didn't make it to that, but I mean, the description is great. It's, the games industry is...
Haydn, it's a talk about hip-hop questions. You can't read it like that. It's got to be more like... here, I'll show you. All right, it's got to be more like this. This is completely spontaneous, and I didn't prepare for it. Nordic Game Conference, let me hear ya! The game industry's at an inflection point. Yo, Jacob Reese, that's a joint. We're the changing game habitat. We're the changing game habitat. Where my dog's at? This talk will spark debate, cause hate is gonna hate. With 3 concrete lessons providing tools for your studio. A Snoop Dogg and his bros. Alright, I think that's enough. I mean, I imagine that's what the talk was like. I mean, I don't think Martin Johnson could have really given it any other way.
Yeah.
I mean, people who were there, that's what it was, right? Yeah, of course. Duh.
You are good in this improvising stuff.
Yeah, thanks. That the lyrics are literally right there.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna imagine that's what it was, There was another really good one on
ethical monetization.
Yeah, that one exactly.
Yeah, which is
by Kristen Cox.
Yeah. Tied to a little bit about what I was saying before about loot boxes, but her talk just generally about how to monetize your game in an ethical way, especially as games as a service are becoming increasingly the norm. And her general argument, I couldn't really condense it as eloquently as she did here, but her general argument was like, in order to monetize your games in an ethical way, you need to have ethical guidelines and principles laid out from day one, like as part of your studio, as part of the game, and you need to bake that into how you monetize. Because like the thing that drives players away from your game, first and foremost, is regret, which drives, it's like one of the guiding principles of my life is just regret everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it drives me away from most things.
Is this my legacy?
This is the unintended narrative of our lives.
But like regret, as we all know, is a powerful force. And she was saying that. I
mean, I regret that rap I just did.
No, that was the highlight of the conference.
That's the wrap up. Oh, shucks! Don't even.
You've ruined it. But yeah, it was that regret drives people away from your game. So if people start regretting the money that they spend in your game because they feel it is unfair, or they're not getting their money's worth, like that is what's going to push them away. And unethical purchases are the ones that, or unethical monetization models are going to drive your players away, because they will begin to regret the money they're spending with your game and regret the time they spend with your game. And is that really what you want as game developers? To have your players sat there being like, I regret every second I spent with this game. At the time I enjoyed, but now I look back at it and I just feel terrible.
But just like
it's like night after good bad party, like when you hangover.
Yeah, it's basically a gaming
It's
hangover.
basically a game hangover, exactly.
Yeah.
But again, like we were saying earlier, we're having this moral awakening, and it's really important that we're having talks like that. Ethical monetization. Let's move over to Thursday. Thursday kicked off with one of the big, I guess one of the bigger announced talks. Warren Spector, he did the narrative traps and how to avoid them. How many people here were at that? Clap. Yeah, thank you. Cool.
Those of you who weren't missed a very good talk, I must say. Again, like I couldn't condense what he said at all, because he knows what he's talking about much better than I do, and he's a much more eloquent and intelligent man than I. But I think one of the most interesting take-homes from that was kind of how films, like games like to borrow from other mediums, and in turn they like to borrow from us. But like one of the mistakes which game designers and developers can make when developing their game is borrowing certain things from films that don't necessarily translate. And one I think was particularly good was like this idea of like sort of the special moment. You see it in films where there's like this special sort of defining moment. The one that he used is like doves flying out when a gun is shot in a John Woo film, and that's great in a film because it has this real like visual power to it. But when you do it in a game and you do it 100 times, this thing that was kind of cool and interesting becomes really tedious very quickly. So it's like the idea is deciding, it's not about special moments, it's about just making sure that your game is still entertaining after you've done something 100 times. And I think, yeah, designing around these special moments is like a real trap that can actually become, leave you with quite a boring game ultimately.
That's so frustrating when it happens too. It's kind of like you just work harder and harder and more, and you're just like making your game worse and worse. To move on, obviously, so there were a lot of really, really great talks, and we decided that we would agree on a few that really resonated with all three of us, where we'd like to actually have the speakers themselves come up and tell a little bit about it. So please welcome Felicia Pren to the stage. Look at you. Yeah, don't worry about it. You can have right there and have the mic.
There's my microphone. Oh, good.
Hello.
Hi.
I have no voice, so I'm really sorry about that. This is like the worst day for you.
Yeah,
guys.
start off with an apology.
Sorry. Meeting and matching all the people. Yeah.
Yeah, literally, it opens up just like that.
Yeah. At the end of conference, you lose your voice.
Yeah, it's I did a lot of talking. I did a lot of networking, and I don't know. It's just timing. I've never actually been sick at a conference before. I always usually get sick afterwards. Like in Kayani, where I met Jacob and Eric for the first time, as soon as I got back, I had strep throat and I missed 2 weeks of work. No. And my boss was convinced I just had a really bad hangover for the first 3 days.
Oh no.
So I actually had to show him in the doctor's note, like, look, it's proof. I'm not hungover. I'm Italian. I don't get this.
I have proof of my hangover.
Exactly.
But would you please tell us? You did a really fantastic talk. I want to hear you.
Thank you. You weren't there.
I mean, but you gave me the private version. Thank you very much. So, would you start with the title of your talk?
So it was Disability and Accessibility in 2019, and I did it with Ian Hamilton, who's like me but professional, and we basically went over what we like right now about the current state of accessibility, what we don't like, and what we want to see happen in the near future.
So what does accessibility mean actually in a game?
So accessibility is the idea that games should be able to be played by everyone, regardless of whether or not they can see or hear or move. So in my personal case, I'm almost completely blind. So if I've ever told you you're attractive, keep that in mind. And
all right. Now I get it.
Yeah, sorry. I do like your eye makeup, though.
Thank you. Can you see it?
Sometimes.
But really, the most romantic thing you ever said to me was, "You are seen." I was like, "Oh yeah, thank you."
By other people. So
just not by me.
Exactly. So in my case, I have to say I never imagined that I would be doing this. I've always been a gamer since I was about 3 years old. I've always been in front of a console, but I never imagined that I would be showcasing my disability for hundreds of people. So it's interesting, but I'm really happy that something that in the beginning was made for me to feel horrible and out of place can actually help people and help make things better. So it's weird being so vulnerable and so open, but I'm happy if it helps.
Would it be alright if you shared with us a thing that you've seen in games that you are happy about?
Something I'm really happy about right now is not so much in games themselves, but the amount of young people and indie devs and just people who are new to the industry who have seen my talks or seen other people's talks and who have started emailing me. Now I get several emails a month from students, especially saying that, hey, I'm working on this project and I really want it to be accessible to the blind or whoever, and I'm just wondering if you could help me. And it's like, it's so awesome. Because it's such a contrast to, there was a really awful debate on Twitter a few weeks ago that I'm not going to get into because I'm sober, and it was horrible. It was horrible, and it's really hard when these debates about should disabled people be allowed to have fun start. It's not so nice. So when I get emails, and especially, I'm going to give another shout out. I gave a shout out in my lecture, but I'm going to give another shout out to the Icelandic guys who make the No Time to Relax game. They were the highlight of my conference as far as games go, sorry, because when I told them I can't see, the immediate reaction was, okay, when can you play this and tell us what to fix?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So what actually would help you to play? What does game studios should do to be accessible?
So every game is different. So I don't believe in any kind of legislation or like set of these are the things you should do, because then if you apply sort of a broad thing to every game, you're gonna just make things not fun. And I just want everything at all times to be fun. So I think
we play games.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a large group of people who think games should be hard and not everyone should be able to play them, and they take great pride in being superior because they use that to compensate for all failure in their real life.
I think so. Ouch! Somebody call 112.
Sorry, not sorry.
I think people should actually realize accessibility isn't just about catering to people with disabilities. Like, for example, I type on a Dvorak keyboard. And so the first thing I have to do every time I open up a game is go to rebinding the keys or whatever, and then some games don't actually let you do that. It's super frustrating, and I brought that up with a developer on a game I'm working about, and he really, not only did he run with my idea, he started thinking about all these other surrounding things. He was like, yeah, I should make sure that there should be controls for like left-handed people who have their mouse on a different
exactly.
side. Yeah,
exactly. So to answer your question, Elena, there is no standard thing, but I would say the thing that is complained most about in the disabled community, there are two things. Colorblind mode, which is such a simple thing to fix. Every single one of you should try to fix the colorblind issues in your games. If you don't know if you have one or not, download, I forget the name of it. This is why I need Ian. There's a thing that you can download that lets you see things in colorblind as if you were colorblind, and that way you can test your games through that. If someone knows the name, please yell it out.
Oh, that's absolutely incredible. Actually, if you do some Googling, there are some simple cheat sheets to answer some really simple
GameAccessibilityGuidelines.com. I repeat, gameaccessibilityguidelines.com.
There you go.
The best website ever. And also text sizes. The biggest thing I run into as a blind person is text sizes. I play Gardenscapes a lot as a, you know, when I'm on trains or on a tram or whatever, when I have like 5 minutes, I just play Gardenscapes. It's a really basic match 3. And I've been told it has a great story. I have no idea.
Oh. Hey, Felicia, thank you so much for coming on
Thank you
stage
guys
and
so
talking
much.
about
And
that.
I'm really mad I didn't get to rap.
Yeah. Do you want to rap real quick?
Not freestyle.
Okay.
But I wish I would have known that was an option. I love you.
Yeah, for sure. Let's just...
I don't want to fall down the stairs.
Exactly.
So
Here you go.
awkward.
Cool. Moving on from that one, the next talk from Thursday that we wanted to focus on, if I recall correctly, was Kevin Akwatsi's How Unions Empower Workers and Improve Labor Conditions. And if you were there, you got one of these, because everybody loves Waluigi. It says, Game Workers Unite, Super Mario Sunshine style. I really love whoever did the bonus strategy guide included. And then you open it up and it's just how to treat people respectfully. Oh, I love, it says versus mode. Isn't that, devs versus their bosses. Sorry, anyway. So we were talking earlier about, you know, again, like you were saying, there's moral awakening. It's really fantastic that we're having, and so I've seen Kevin a few times and seen the talk, not here, but that's because I've seen it before. And I can't even believe that unionization is like a question at all. The fact that this is still a problem we're seeing, I know, obviously right now crunch is a big like hot topic thing, like why is that happening in games? And I think it's really cool in general that there are a lot of devs who are starting to talk more about what is the cost of making a game, and not just financially. Mortal Kombat 11 came out and a lot of the developers were talking about what it's like to work on a hyper-violent game and how that affects you in the end.
There's also now Game Workers of Finland, a union just a year and a half old. And I can't believe it, the unionization of the industry is so young. And it's good that these topics are now on table, because although you work you are passionate about your industry, this is creative, this is a dream job for most of you, this is still, they are companies who have employers and they have responsibilities of the people. So it's very important.
So speaking of responsibilities, I spoke to a developer at a studio in Copenhagen who's telling me about a contract they have at their workplace. And Charles, this is it. I would like to invite you to the stage to come share it with the audience. So please, just introduce yourself and your studio and tell us about this contract.
Hi, so my name is Charles. We have a small studio in Copenhagen, named Frame Bunker. And about a year ago, we decided we were going to start scaling the studio, hiring people. And it was terrifying because like the people you choose to hire, these are like, especially those early hires, well, all hires, but they're going to change the very nature of your studio. So what we started to do was to look and really sort of decide what kind of company do we want to be, what are the principles that we want to just bake really deep down into our employment contracts, into the way that we're approaching all of this. And the key realization was people are not machines. We need to treat them as complete people. And then, what that meant was ensuring that like equal salaries across the board.
Like you have the same salary as everyone else?
Yeah. And it's actually the rationale behind that being that if we're hiring people and saying that you are critical to our success, there aren't degrees of critical. Like,
right.
So how can one person say that I'm more critical and therefore worthy of better compensation?
Exactly. So please tell us, what are a couple of the things that you put into the contract?
Yes.
Because I remember you telling me you were like, the lawyers think we're crazy.
Oh, the number of emails back from our lawyers saying like, you realize you don't have to grant IP ownership for internal pitches if you decide to move on, or you realize you don't have to, well, you were talking about crunch, so you don't have to have mandatory downtime for any time overworked, which we set to be, the very next week.
So you don't crunch at all?
Right.
And you have forbidden all overwork?
So if there was an emergency and we needed to, for 2 days stay a little late, but then that's time that you need, complete people with lives outside of work make better games.
And
So
they get compensated for that time by having time off.
immediately, yeah.
Incredible.
Other things that we did was, so we realized that, what you were talking about, how it's sort of a scary world in terms, and we realized that, we want people who are passionate outside of just their jobs. So we included specifically the right to take time off to engage in community, like community organizing, things like that.
And protests.
Protests.
There's the right to protest in their contract.
So,
everybody listen to what this guy is saying. The reason why we're having him here is because we're hoping someone's going to take something away from this and change their own contract.
And so it's super, you didn't tell me I would be coming up on stage, following, live rapping. So it's a little, I'll admit I'm a little nervous here. The one thing that I really was sort of most hopeful for is that, if one person from here goes back and says, I want to be able to do that, and
I want to be able to
their
rap.
own studio,
So tell the website
then it's
address.
worthwhile.
You have the contract is publicly in their website, so you can go there and look it for yourself.
And it's in English too, right?
Yeah,
so it's
it's not written in lawyer. It's not legalese. It's a plain English contract available for people to review in advance and.
In address
at framebunker.jobs.
Yes.
And if you're
framebunker.jobs, I'm saying it again.
and even if you have your own studio, borrow ideas, steal the contract, use it, please. Treat your employees like real human beings.
Charles, thank you so much for coming on stage and talking to us. Oh yeah, live it up, live it up. Thank you so much for coming on stage and talking to us about Frame Bunker. Yeah, take care, Charles. Wow, yeah, right? Super cool. Moving right along. Oh, this one was one of my personal favorites. So if you were smart enough on Thursday at 2:15, you were in the fast track checking out my romance and games talk, which if you weren't there, I'd like to give it to you right now in a sentence. All right, everybody, just close your eyes. Now imagine what your ideal romantic partner would be like. Everybody open your eyes. Raise your hand if your idea of an ideal romantic partner was a chubby Italian plumber who kicks through the door and goes, "It's me, are you safe?" Who went, "Ah, yes, everything I wanted in a long-term relationship." I didn't think so. And a lot of what I said in that talk was just, I'm tired of the damsel in distress. We don't want that. Who cares about that? It's not relatable. And so I was in the speaker's lounge, and another speaker came over to me, and an unusual thing happened, which was that I realized that me, Elie Abraham, and this other speaker, Elie Abraham, had talks at 2:15 on Thursday. And then we were like, "Well, what are you doing in games?" And she was like, "I'm working on a witchy game." I was like, "I'm working on a witchy game." And it was kind of like, what's that, Parent Trap? I was like, wait, are we the same person? Were we separated at birth? But that talk, which is really incredible, this actually even relates a little bit to accessibility, and part of what Felicia was saying. Especially she was saying she was struggling sometimes just to see text size. And I've never really thought about this, but Lily was telling me about how when you're designing for the Switch, you have to design the UI to be, to work with both the handheld version and the screen version. I never really thought you were squashing so much content into the handheld version, which I imagine at times can even be an accessibility issue. And these are some of the things in design that we don't always think of, but now that we have developments like these new consoles, like the Switch, that function in that way, we're living in the future. And in the future, we got future problems.
Yeah,
what else was happening on Thursday?
But you can't nowadays you can't have a conference without talking about climate change, and climate change has become an issue even in games industry. And this is, I'm impressed and surprised. I was like, what? There's a talk about can the games industry save the planet, and 8 ways your game can inspire climate action. Some of the investors I've been talking lately have been talking a lot about impact investing, and then I've been thinking about, okay, well then you don't invest in games that are not like in good cause. They are just money makers. So, but there are actually a lot of games that can save the planet and make the planet a better place. So you can invest to games if you want to impact invest, actually.
It's a huge step even to just, as an industry, accept games, serious games can be made. Or fun, playful games with serious ideas that have real-world consequence backing them.
Mm. Like yesterday evening when there was all this party, Nordic games party going on, and then I looked to the screen and there was this home violence game, Bird Gauge, and I was like, what? But it was very impressive game, and games can be very they have meaning in them.
Absolutely. And just no joke, for the first, in the past, I feel like, especially in my romance talk, one of the things I was saying was just like, oh, it's like a frustration with narrative in games. But in the past decade, it has come so far. For the first time, I've played games that made me cry, and because they moved me, or because of the topics that were represented in the games. And by the way, can the game industry save the planet? That was Trista Patterson, just so you know, who gave that talk. And thank you, Trista. I don't know if you're in the room, but these are the topics that we want to see, obviously, more of at these conferences. So again, thank you, Nordic Game Conference, for being dedicated to bringing some of that content here. And I know, Haydn, you seemed particularly on fire to talk about a talk that was very similar to that one. And maybe if you'd like to intro our next speaker, or our next guest.
It's 8 ways you can inspire climate action. This was by Hugo Billet. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. And yeah, this was super interesting talk. Just kind of 8 different ways that you can think about designing and creating games.
And let's have him come up here Hugo, and tell us all about it. Hugo.
There he is.
Hey, the microphone's right there in the mic cup.
The mic, hello.
So Hugo, yeah, obviously we've been saying it over and over again. Wow, climate change, serious topics. And I walked in there and you were like, I'm going to the protest, so.
It was a bit like that. Yeah, so I've devolved into some sort of indie game making / climate activism over the past year.
Devolved. I think that's an evolution if I've ever heard one.
Evolved. I've evolved. Yeah. It feels like it. I've actually helped to organize a lot of the school strikes in Gothenburg. And you might not know, but today is actually, school strikes happen every Friday. It's school kids going out and protesting against inadequate climate policies all around the world. Started in Sweden. It's not as big a movement here as it's become in the rest of Europe and Australia and the US. But today is actually an extra big one. It's like a global strike for climate that we've been planning, well, at least in Gothenburg, I don't know about Malmö, but we've been planning it for weeks. And I'm missing it to be here.
That's how good Nordic Game Conference is.
Right? So I felt after my talk, which was at lunch, I had to at least get over there and see what's going on. And it was, I mean, it's really encouraging to just, we're talking about awakenings, moral awakenings. Right. And to me, the school strikes is really like the #1 symbol of the world finally waking up. Not only on climate change, but on like ecosystem collapse and all sorts of environmental threats.
Even just realizing we can mobilize and come together.
Yeah. So it's great that I somehow got to do both of them.
So how is this related to games? How games can save the planet?
Right.
You really like that, huh? Oh, our game's going to save the planet. And Hugo's here to tell you 8 ways that it can happen.
I'm going to write a column about it, and you know the headline, what's going to be.
Oh, God. I never said that games can change the planet, especially, well, save the planet, especially not alone.
But somebody else did. Trista did. Keep going.
I mean, so my talk was basically about the last year that I've spent sort of on my own, because I kind of left the gaming industry for a while, or I figured I'd go independent after working at Soink for a bunch of years. And that kind of immediately turned into just noticing and like emotionally caring a lot more about the future of our civilization. A lot of that has to do with the fact that I became a parent this summer as well.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. And so
and being a parent and being a dev, who feels this? Who feels this? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw those hands going up going, I feel this. So I don't, but I've heard it's hard.
Basically, I started to ponder a lot, like, how can we use the rich and powerful languages of video games to talk about these things that we desperately need to talk more about?
Are there maybe any particular titles that you're like, oh, this was going in the right direction?
The one I can think of is the new expansion to Civilization 6, but I haven't played that one, so that's like a fantasy.
I don't actually know about that particular expansion.
Right.
What's the thing?
The Gathering Storm. So Civ has been dabbling in like climate simulations a lot of times before, but the Gathering Storm is all about like how the interplay between human civilization and nature. So it has like full greenhouse gas modeling, and it ends with all sorts of floods and sea level rise. And being Civ, I haven't played it, but I trust that since it's Civ, it's fun.
Wow, that's a big leap of faith.
No, but it's really encouraging
for
me.
Well, since the first 10 Mortal Kombats were violent.
It's really encouraging for me to see commercial games delve into this issue. I wanted my talk today not to be at all really about like games for change,
right?
But about how commercial games can sort of stay relevant in an era where climate action is becoming the norm, and lead that development instead of being trampled by it.
It's amazing. So thank you, first of all, for sharing all of that, because realizing it's something. I was at a game jam, a Nordic game jam in Copenhagen last year, and Robin Huneke came, the developer behind Journey, for example. She gave this incredible keynote, and one of the things she was talking about is like, hey, remember while you're here, you can make games about those ideas if you want to. It's just like a reminder, like, these things that we're worrying about and that we're concerned with, put that in your game. Yeah. And there were people suddenly like, oh, I can discuss this social topic. I can discuss climate change. I can put that in my game.
That's one way. That's one of the 8 ways.
That is one of the 8 ways. Fantastic.
I really don't want to make this like a dogma. That's a point, actually. I really don't have all the answers. I'm just trying to sort of get the conversation started, because there are not 8 ways that games can inspire climate action. There are 8,000 ways.
Right, absolutely. So Hugo, hey, thank you so much for coming on stage and talking to us about that. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And if you could just drop that in the mic cup. Thank you, Hugo. So, perhaps you saw one or many, hopefully, of the Fast Track talks, and we would like to right now bring the host of the Fast Track on stage. Please welcome the fantastic dev and my dear friend Julius van Dam. What a looker.
What an entrance to get caught like that. Hello, everyone.
Hold on, I'm about to do a rap about you.
Please do. Yes.
Now tell us about the Fast Track. You know, I mean, so that was going on for 2 days.
It was going on for 2 days. Yes, we had 21 speakers.
Wow.
Yeah, in 2 days. So it was yesterday and today over in the Reykjavik room, and we had 25-minute talks back to back. And it was very interesting. A lot of topics ranging from various people and themes. So one that really stuck to my mind was Lisa Kretschmer's talk about managers have feelings too. So it was a very nice and vulnerable talk about how to take care of yourself as a manager, you know, emotionally. avoid burning out, being in a better place as a human being. And I think those are conversations that are super important right now.
Yeah, right now it also feels like a hot button thing to be talking about hashtag self-care and all that good stuff.
Stay hydrated.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yes. Then Vera Karpova was talking about behavioral economics in games. So there was an interesting line that was said after one question. It was basically marketing is not ethical, because there was talk about like, is it ethical to use this stuff in our games? And that was, I think, like interesting.
What was like? Could you perhaps provide a point?
Yes. So we all have biases as people.
No.
And they oftentimes in marketing they are used against us. So she gave an example of a company, a newspaper company that offered 2 subscriptions basically for an online version and then the paper. And then they added a third one, which is the paper and the online subscription. It was the same price as the paper one, which was like $125, and the online only was like $60. And then people go for it like crazy. The one that has the website added to, because they think they're getting a deal and they're beating the company. So things like these can be used against us. There's a really good book called Predictably Irrational, if you want to look into this, that delves deep into this topic. Super good.
It's a little frustrating because obviously there are many devs who are thinking like, well, we need to make money. We are devs. We need to be able to live off of this. And then sometimes you try to come up with these strategies, and while they might actually allow you to make that money that you need to live, the strategies themselves aren't ethical, and it's a big question mark for everybody involved.
Yes. So, it's good to be aware of those, because then when you are aware of the biases, then you can spot when someone's trying to use them against you. Next. Julius Kuschke, so another Julius, had a very nice talk about narrative in games, and specifically dialogue options in games, and how that has evolved during the years in games, and then kind of what he's glad to see, but what he wants to see more, and how like it has evolved, but it's kind of stopped now, or like there's been only very little changes. And he was talking about different games like Mass Effect or the Telltale games, to show the different types of mechanics that are used to simulate a realistically feeling conversation.
I don't think a lot of people, because we're far from it now, but when Mass Effect first came out, that was kind of crazy that they just had like a little word or a little fragment or like a picture for like what you want to say. Because before that, we were all used to, I don't know, Icewind Dale type art,
you have the whole
big things, and there's the whole sentence, you pick it right there. And now suddenly there were these games where it's just like gives you the idea, and then what the person said wasn't word for word what was there. So these are, we're far enough from it now that we don't remember how innovative that was when it first came out.
For sure. But now when we look at it, because of all the games that have come after it, we can now see how the system's basically, okay, this is where they have these options. If I use this thing, then I'll gain points in this thing. So now we kind of have become literate in that, so it's not enough anymore for us. That's kind of too normal.
Right.
So then there were things like you can interrupt conversations in Oxenfree, for example, and then the game will pick up back from what you interrupted in a very natural way. Stuff like that.
So for the sake of time,
I
think I need to push you to the point where we've been talking a lot about, the theme of like impact in games and impactful games. And somebody who gave a talk is going to be awarded the most impactful fast track speech. And we would like for you, the host, Julius, to announce the winner and to award them this bottle of sweet kava.
So the winner is Luke Spirevka.
Luke Spirevka, please come to the stage. And while he does that, feel free.
I would like to explain why I chose Luke's talk. I think Luke's talk encompassed...
here he is.
There he is.
Here he is. Congratulations. And would you, in fact, like to say something about it before you say why you chose it? What was the title of your talk?
So the title of the talk was Hole in One, releasing a premium mobile game and doing all right. And like sitting here in the audience and listening to all these like amazing people come in and speaking about like accessibility and climate change and treating people respectfully. I'm like, well, my talk is just about we made a puzzle game and it did kind of all right. So I wasn't expecting that at all.
So the reason why I chose your talk was because I think it encompasses one of the main reasons why I love Nordic Game, and it's one of my favorite conferences, is that you were very transparent and open about your experience with the game. You were very openly saying, this is how many units we sold, the price, like everything, super candid. And I think that's a core part of Nordic, is us sharing openly with each other and supporting each other and not seeing each other as like bloody competition who we can't help. On the contrary. So that's why I chose him.
Thank you so much, both Lukas, congratulations, and Julius for being on stage with us. Thank you. Super cool. That was a little bit of our wrap-up regarding a lot of the talks, but there were also a lot of really cool games showing. I mean, they looked cool.
I mean, yeah, they look cool. I can't remember the last time I came to one of these events and actually got to play a game.
You come, as like you were saying, you're just full with meetings the whole time, you know?
Yeah, being a professional nerd means you actually don't get to play any games. But there are loads of really, like you say, great-looking games. I had a little walk around the Unreal section before, and some stuff really stood out there. I think Bramble looks excellent, and Draugen as well, I think Draugen, and Unboxed Hypercharge, which reminds me of the older Army Men games. You know, the
fun, yeah,
like
totally.
Sarge's Heroes, which I'm sure haven't aged well, but God, I loved them as a kid. And yeah, there was a lot of other like sort of great-looking games on the show floor, like Pendulous Swing. I think looks really great. It's wonderful.
Oh my God! The idea of just like the fantasy races, but like in the 1920s, like kind of swing scene. Oh, I love it. You know, so much fun. When I was going around, one of the games I saw was Hay Fever, which is it's so cute. Oh my God! Yeah, you can woo all you want right now, like. So Hay Fever, which just looked like one of these cutesy games that I had played when I was a kid on the Super Nintendo, but it's this game where your main character is has like seasonal allergies, so you can jump and then get a double jump by like sneezing, like. So the audio dev sneeze is probably going to be the most heard sneeze in the world. Did you get to even see any of the games? Because a lot of them, they look great, but.
I have to. Now I have to.
Yeah. Now you have to check out these. But speaking of games, obviously last night was the incredible awards ceremony. For if anybody wasn't there, perhaps now would be actually a good opportunity for us to revisit what the categories and winners were. Haydn, you ready?
I am indeed.
All right. We have Best Debut.
Planet Alpha Game Studio.
Best Fun for Everyone.
Unravel 2, Coldwood Interactive.
Best Audio.
Battlefield 5 from DICE.
Best Technology.
Hitman 2, IO Interactive.
Best Game Design.
A Way Out, Hazelight.
Best Art.
Pode, I think I'm pronouncing that right, from Henchman and Goon.
Nordic Game of the Year, Small Screen.
This is Hold Down from Grapefruit.
And the Nordic Game of the Year went to...
A Way Out from Hazelight.
Fantastic. Hey, please applaud all of those winners. I don't know who's going to be the award host next year, but really that's all you have to do. Just like that. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a whole hour. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
So there were 3 Finnish nominees and non-Finnish games was awarded. So I was a little bit disappointed, but then there was the other game, the ice hockey game.
Yeah, the game that really mattered, Sweden.
Yes. And we took that, so...
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Suomi mainittu.
Okay.
High five.
High five.
We did it. We did it.
Yeah.
It was us.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
guys.
thanks.
I know you worked really, really hard.
Yeah. But in the party last night, it was a interesting party because all the Finns were like looking at the game.
The one game that truly mattered at the bottom of our hearts. So, thank you for attending this and hearing all of what we had to relate to you about what was our takeaway from these past few days. But obviously, none of that can happen without the fantastical Jacob Rees and Eric Robertson. If you would please come to the stage. Yes, yeah. I meant you. Come on over.
That's really not the issue, because I have a text here that just arrived. Here it says, "Call me when I should come." So I'm just sort of playing for time here. Did you go for a nap? Huh? You want to sit?
No. On his lap, maybe?
I've been sitting all day.
We could perhaps all stand, I believe.
Yeah,
this is it. So let's go. Take it. This is it. And maybe stage forward.
Okay.
Take it away, friends.
What do you want me to say? Okay, we just want to thank everybody who have helped us making this another epic edition of the Nordic Game Conference. First of all, our team, our interns, our suite. Can you please come up?
Bring up?
Yeah.
Yes, everybody on the team, please applaud these people who helped make this conference happen.
Where's Alex?
Alex is really busy doing doing his beers.
Doing the pouring beers for you.
Yeah.
And Sonny is taking a test in school. Okay.
He's still at the party.
Okay. and Tom is stuck in Vietnam. He couldn't be bothered to come to Malmö.
But there's Teddy.
There's Teddy.
Sales director.
So, hello. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody. And we have something to say.
You, Jake.
This is the tenderness I'm here for.
And to the man pouring the beer. Thank you so much, Alex, for doing a fantastic production here. Alex will be moving on to exciting new own endeavors, which are super secret, but seem to be involving games and events, I think.
Oh yeah,
we do.
Oh wow, he's creating a conference called Nordic AIM.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Sales Director, we need to come. But are we traditionally incoherent now, or should we go on?
We should just stop now.
Can we?
Where is the beer?
In the restaurant.
In the restaurant where we will all be going after this.
We have one important announcement, right?
Yes, I hope we're thinking about the same.
Yeah, Martin,
if it's not, then it's too important enough.
That is the announcement.
Okay.
Nordic Game Conference 2020!
It's gonna happen again, and you are so welcome back. This is yours, you know that. You do this. We just sort of
hang around.
We book a room and bring beer, and the rest sort of happens.
Yeah.
We will see you all next year, May 27th, 28th, and 29th.
Yes, exactly.
And a special big thanks to our present volunteers, interns that are from right to left, Marcus, Johanna, and Anna. Thank you very much. It has been good, hard work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you next year.
Thank you so much for coming to Nordic Game Conference. See you next year.
Hi now.
Yes. Well, that's us.